Hello everyone. In this video I want to talk about Romans 9:13 and its implications only looking at one book of the Bible, which is, well, Romans, but also Genesis. So Romans 9:13 says, "As it is written, Jacob I loved and Esau I hated." Now, the key text for this, I think, at least one of them, is going to be Genesis 21:10, which says, "So she said to Abraham, Cast out this slave woman with her son, for the son of this slave woman shall not be heir with my son Isaac." And I'm going to get there in a roundabout way, but I have to cover some earlier things in Genesis before my point can really be seen. So, the first passage that I want to cover is in Genesis 15, and this is about Abraham and basically God saying he's going to bless him. So, after these things, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision. "Fear not, Abraham, I am your shield, your reward will be very great." And Genesis 15:5 and 6. "And he brought him outside and said, Look towards heaven and number the stars, if you are able to number them. Then he said to him, So shall your offspring be. And he believed the Lord, and he counted it to him as righteousness." Now, this is just the promise of Abraham from God, Yahweh, and it's basically saying this is how Israel is going to start to be a nation. So then this promise of Yahweh comes to Abraham, and it says in Genesis 17:19, it says, "God said, No, but Sarah your wife shall bear a son, and you shall call his name Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his offspring after him." Alright, so this is talking about Abraham and Sarah, and that Sarah shall conceive a son, and his name's going to be Isaac. Now, why I'm going to this text is because Isaac was said to bear two children, Esau and Jacob. And that's what this passage is about. So I'm just covering some history here on a leading up to the main point that I'm trying to make. And so we see in Genesis 21:3, it says, "Abraham called the name of his son who was born him, whom Sarah bore him, Isaac." And then there's this key verse, Genesis 22:2, and it says, "He said, Take your son, your only son, whom you love." And this is the first time in the Bible that it gives this word, love. It says, he said, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you." Now this word love is actually very important in this whole theology that I'm coming up with. And so why this is important is because as Abraham is sacrificing his son Isaac, or he is told to, at least to prepare to, this is really what we see in this is that the covenant goes from father to son. And that's really important that the covenant goes from father to son, goes from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. And then there's this passage in Genesis 25:19 through 23, and this is pretty important. Let me read it here. It says, "These are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham fathered Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean, Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean, to be his wife. And Isaac prayed to the Lord his wife because she was barren. And the Lord granted his prayer, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled within her, and she said, "If it is thus, why is this happening to me?" So she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you shall be divided. The one shall be stronger than the other. The older shall serve the younger." Now, why this is interesting is that the Lord is telling Rebekah that the younger will be served by the older, which is sort of contrary to how things were normally done, as the firstborn usually gets the inheritance and the blessings that come with being the first son. Anyways, moving on, we have these two verses a little bit later in Genesis 25, which are verses 27 and 28. And this is what it says. It says, "When the boys grew up, Esau was a skilled hunter, a man of the field, while Jacob was a quiet man, dwelling in tents." And then verse 28, it says, "Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob." And Genesis 25:28 is really where Paul is getting this idea of Romans 9:13. "Jacob I loved and Esau I hated." This is the text that he's getting it from, I believe. So we might ask why? "As it is written, Jacob I loved and Esau I hated." Now this might be kind of confusing because it doesn't say explicitly in the text that God loved Jacob and hated Esau. But what we can see is what their parents thought about their children. So I think the answer in some sense is that there's this passage in Genesis 3:14 and 15 that is really crucial to understanding the woman's role in the blessings of the children, right, you might say. And why we might say that God loved Jacob and hated Esau. So I'm going to read this for you here. This is Genesis 3:14 and 15. "The Lord said to the serpent, 'Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock, and above all beasts of the field. On your belly you shall go, and dust you shall eat, all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel.'" Now, why this is important is because it's saying here that the woman is going to have some sort of division between Satan and her offspring. It says the woman is going to be, in some sense, the opposite, or the one that Satan's going to hate, or the one that there's going to be enmity between the woman and Satan's offspring. And why this might make some sense is because there are really two lines in the Bible. There's the unbelievers and the believers, the ones that are faithful to God and the ones that are not faithful to God. And that's more or less what we see in Genesis 25:23, where it says, "And the Lord said to her, 'Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you shall be divided. The one shall be stronger than the other, the older shall serve the younger.'" So in this way, we might say, in a sense, this is describing the line of the woman and the line of Satan. So after the verse Genesis 3:14 and 15, this is where the crucial verse Genesis 21:10 comes into play. And this says, "So she said to Abraham, 'Cast out this slave woman with her son, for the son of this slave woman shall not be heir with my son Isaac.'" So why this is interesting is that it seems to imply that Ishmael was of the line of Satan, and Isaac was of the line of the woman. So now going back to Genesis 25:28, it says, Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Now, this is an interesting thing here, where it says Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Why is this significant is that Rebekah's love was based not on anything except what God told her. And Esau was loved by Isaac because of something tangible, because of something that Esau could do for Isaac. And that's why Isaac loved Esau, because Esau could do something for him. But Rebekah loved Jacob, not out of anything that Jacob could do for her, but because it's what God said was important, that Jacob was going to be served by Esau. And that's why Rebekah loved Jacob. So anyways, that's a little rundown on the verse Romans 19:13, which states, As it is written, Jacob I loved, and Esau I hated. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you later. Bye.